Good evening, and welcome along to another big show here on NVTV. Coming at you from the comfort of our very own living room. Hope we find you well this evening. Now, coming up on the show, we'll be chatting to singer-songwriter Malachi Cush about his brand new charity record, which is called Nothing Seems Right. Before we do that, we'll take a look at something from the archives. And do you remember back in the day when Malachi was on Fame Academy?
Oh gosh, yes. And Fame Academy was a very new concept. The first competition on TV, reality sort of show. And yes, it was Malachi Cush and Sinead Quinn, two Irish contestants, Northern Irish contestants, on a competition. The great thing about it was I loved the fact that the vocal coaches were working with them, and we saw that process, the learning, the going through the exercises, learning the material, getting to know the other contestants was good as well. They did really well, and they really did us Northern Irish proud.
Now, I was digging through the archives the other day, and I found this photograph of Malachi and Sinead, along with myself and the late great Jerry Anderson. This was just taken as they came off Fame Academy. We're at the Big Buzz Irish Entertainment Awards. So that's the photograph that you see on your screens right now. Now, did you know that Prince William was also a big fan of Malachi's when he was in Fame Academy?
No, I didn't.
Well, Malachi told me the story last time he was in the NVTV studios on The Big Show. He told me a story all about meeting Prince William. Here's what happened. Is it true that Prince William was a fan of you?
Where did you hear that? Did I tell you this? Or
No, you didn't.
Done your research?
I found it actually in a copy of the Tyrone something or other earlier on today.
Well, this is true. After the show, I did a little bit of work with the London Irish Rugby Club. This is a very funny story, and it's very true. Yeah. As much as it doesn't sound like it should have happened, it did happen. So the London Irish Rugby Club, and I would have went and sang for them pre-matches, and had a real good relationship with them. And they'd won the league, and afterwards they went to this exclusive club, which I was invited to. And in the VIP, in the curtained off area, where we all wonder what happens behind there, the royals were in there, Prince William, Harry and their friends, right. And some of the cousins, Beatrice and those guys, they were all in there with their close security and all of that. So the chairperson of London Irish blagged himself and myself in. At that point, you can imagine that the Fame Academy programme had just concluded. Yeah. So the hype was pretty high, and I was being recognised in London as well as I would have been here. So it was a surreal experience. So I went in with him, and shy as anything at that time, because I didn't want to approach William or Harry, but watching, from you can't believe that you're in the same zone. Had me a few drinks, and off to the loo I pop, and I'm standing having a pee as men do. And who comes up to have a pee in the urinal beside me? Only Prince William. Right. As true as I'm standing here. And I'm like, what do you say? And anyway, washing our hands, and I didn't speak because I didn't know, you don't know what the protocol is. Yes, yeah. So I didn't speak, and he's washing his hands, and he says, You're Malachi from the big house in Highgate on the Hill. And I said, yeah. And you're William, and you come from a fairly big house yourself. And we hit it off. We had a great laugh. We had a few drinks together. We had a great chat, great conversation. He talked about his mum and how she really loved the Irish, and she loved visiting here. Obviously she had passed, and he spoke a lot about her, and we really got on very well for that one night. Mm-hmm. Never heard tell of him since.
Oh, well, yeah.
Wasn't invited to sing at the wedding.
Right, well, let's have some music from Malachi now. His new single, Nothing Seems Right. He is raising some funds for Northern Ireland Air Ambulance and the NHS.
Day turns to night, night turns to day. Nothing seems right since you went away. Black turns to white, white turns to grey. Time just stands still, there's no words to say. Walking alone without you by my side, wondering what I'm gonna do Time passes by, nights are so long, nothing seems right without you. Smiles turn to tears, tears on my face, missing you so, my heart, how it breaks. Sunshine to rain, rain turns to snow, asking myself, oh, why did you go? Walking alone without you by my side, wondering what I'm gonna do. Time passes by, nights are so long, nothing seems right without you. Leaves on the trees fall to the ground, listening to birds, but I hear no sound. Friends stopping by, saying hello, they say it's okay, but how could they know? Walking alone without you by my side, wondering what I'm gonna do. Time passes by, nights are so long, nothing seems right without you. Walking alone without you by my side, wondering what I'm gonna do. Time passes by, nights are so long, nothing seems right without you. Nothing seems right without you.
So that's a track called Nothing Seems Right, and Malachi Cush joins us on the line. Malachi, how are you?
I'm very well, Robin. Thanks for having me. And it's a completely alternative world now. Of course, now we'd usually be at a studio together, but this is like you're in my living room, so this is great.
Exactly. So is that your music room, or is that your living room that you're in at the minute?
This is my music room. This is my piano. I have my guitars over here. I have a guitar here just beside me. So it's a great space for me to come in. And there's absolutely no other there's no TVs or anything in here, so it's very, very creative space. And I can look out over the fields here. And of course this inevitably is often where we gather if we're having a bit of a family gathering, and we'll gather around this piano and have a bit of a sing song. So this is the music room effectively, and this is where it all happens effectively. I put down my ideas and put down thoughts, and I love it in here. It's a nice little sanctuary, I must say.
So I suppose now in isolation you're spending more time working away in the music room. Are you working on any new music at the moment?
Well, it's interesting, there's with the really good weather there, I just was loving being outside. Now it's pre that I was in here a lot, and now today I don't know what it's like where you are, but outside it's really raining quite heavily. So this will be my space today, because even if you're not creating anything, you're playing music and you're saturating yourself. And one thing that I have been doing, and I've been spending the time, is trying to learn new material, so, like songs from people that I could join in a chorus of, or things like that. I've been trying to. I'm a mad fan of James Taylor, and I've rarely sat down and learned fully one of his songs. So I've been sitting here learning in my mind. I'm going to Carolina and stuff like that. They're really good old classics. So, it's made for an interesting time. And then I've been doing some little bits. People have asked me to do some little bits of online material for them as well. So I've been sitting here just recording some online material. And I know that I've been speaking to a couple of people over the last couple of days about doing some songwriting collaborations like this on Zoom. It's just an interesting time because there doesn't seem to be any routine. There's no routine. So I'm not sort of stuck to, there's no end dates for projects, or there's no, and although I suppose that's pretty new for a lot of people, for people like me who've been through the health service over the last year, I've had a bit of a space like that, and I've had time like that. So it hasn't been that big an adjustment for me, if you know what I mean. It's strange. I'm sort of grateful that Claire's now at home and working. She's working up in the office doing online stuff for online learning. But it's great for me to have her company, and I'm very blessed in that. And I just would think it'd be very lonesome for people who are on their own, and that's where I suppose your broadcast and radio and online offerings are all important.
So tell us about the new song, Nothing Seems Right. It's raising money for the Northern Ireland Air Ambulance and also the NHS, two charities that are very close to your heart, aren't they?
Well, they are, and I've spoken of this before, but I never had in a personal capacity you need to use any of their services before. Thankfully, I've always had good health, and but then I had an accident. It's coming up to a year now since I was knocked down in Dungannon in a very freak accident along with my friend Andrew Trotter, and I was looked after by the doctors and the lead paramedics from Air Ambulance, and they travelled with me to Royal Victoria Hospital, where I spent then 3 weeks in reconstruction surgery. And my last surgery effectively was just on the 20th of February, really just before lockdown. So I was lucky to get my last surgery on my leg to get me out of all the support and the braces and stuff like that. So it's a strange thing, and I've been saying this. I know now what it's like to go through the process of getting to know your consultant and getting to know your physio people and your rehab people, and I have great respect. My consultants, Ciara Stevenson, fabulous girl, Amy Bradley and Lou O'Connor are my physios, and they just, I can't thank them enough in terms of how they have put me together. And the ward staff during that 3 week period, I wasn't allowed out of bed for a good period of it, and I was quite down, I could say, pretty depressed, and they care for you both physically and mentally, and I really felt that I wanted to do something for them. Only last weekend I had collaborated with the chair of Mid-Ulster Council, Martin Kearney. He was coming to the end of his tenureship as the chair of our council area here, and he wanted to do his last night as a fundraiser for our ambulance, and I was helping put that together for him. And then we had to cancel that. And I had also said that I would do something for NHS, but we know now in the music industry that there isn't going to be concerts or gatherings like that, and God only knows when that will happen. Certainly not this year. Probably you're talking summer time of next year, and then at that point, the big hitters will all be out. The major big artists will be all out, and the smaller people probably will get lost a little bit in that. So I just thought, now's the time when people are really appreciating the work of NHS. Air Ambulance have just got back into the skies again because the teams there were on the front line. They've been brought back into the hospitals. They're back in the air now. And funny, the evening that I released Nothing Seems Right, they went over my head, and right over my head in the garden here, and they're heading to an incident in Oma. And it almost felt like divine providence. It was very serendipitous just watching it going across and thinking, what person is needing the service this evening. So I had the song Nothing Seems Right, and the first time I performed it, you'll remember that a couple of years ago we had a very sad chain of events in our family where we had 8 funerals within 18 months. Yeah. So I lost 2 aunts, 3 uncles, and 2 cousins. So Claudine was, and then Barry was the last. My cousin Barry, who just lived over the field here from me, was my last my last the last one to pass effectively. And Barry, I sang the song at Barry's funeral, and so it has a very special place in our hearts. And afterwards, people have been saying, "Where can I get that? I'd really like to hear it." And I was, "Well, I haven't done anything with it. I haven't recorded it." And then I recorded it with a plan to release it basically round about St. Patrick's. I had to work in the album and all of that, but then the accident happened and that put everything sort of back again. So it's been sitting there. I had recorded the video 12 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, I had recorded the video of me. I didn't know what I was going to put in around it. It just felt like the right time. It's a very sad song. It's a very sad, reflective piece. It talks about loss. And whenever I think about it, I think it talks about loss of any kind, maybe a breakdown of a relationship. You know, if a child loses a toy, they need comforted. If you lost a pet, you're brokenhearted. If you lost someone then who's so dear to you, and there's lots of people losing people at the moment throughout the world, this COVID-19, and I just thought it really was an appropriate time to let it out there and let people hear it, and hopefully find in that piece emotions that would speak to them and thoughts that would speak to them. And thankfully, people have been very kind about it. And I know lots of people who here locally have had funerals over the last while, and they're not the natural way that we would have said goodbye to people. People are all sitting apart in the funeral. There's only, 10, 15 allowed to go to the funeral. You don't have the wake. You know, so it's really very difficult. So I thought now's the right time. I'm not going to get to do some fundraising concert. I've got this piece of work. I'd really like to let it out. And you know, if it does well, if we raise a couple of £1,000, that's all we can hope for. At the minute, we're up to 3,500. I can't thank those people who have donated enough, because the generosity of the public is what it's all about. And I don't take for granted how people's lives are challenged at the moment, financially as well as every other way. So to give a tenner or £5 or £20 to this cause is really, really special. It means so much to me, but it also means I've had, over the last 24 hours, I've had 3 nurses from Craigavon Area Hospital who were personal friends of Dr. Hines, who set up the air ambulance and had the vision of the air ambulance and then was tragically killed, contacting me and saying how grateful they are for all of these different endeavours that people are doing, and how grateful they are. And they said, if I had opportunities like this, how grateful the nursing staff are and the nurses are for people in the medical team, what people are trying to do and how they're being generous and supporting them. Even with the Thursday evening show of support when people are out clapping, or here in the wilds of Tyrone where there's nobody around, I'm out with a spade and a shovel, clanging them together, hoping that somebody somewhere will hear.
So if people want to download it and support it, how do they do that?
Well, I have a GoFundMe page set up, and that's for it's Northern Ireland Air Ambulance and NHS Heroes. And if you go in and search and GoFundMe Malachi Cush, it'll come up. And the other, you can get my song on YouTube or on my Facebook page, Malachi Cush Official. So the song, the video was directed by Cal Haggerty, who's a dear friend of mine, and he put all that work together. I didn't have to go and sit with him. It was all done like this, different. He was in his space, I was in mine, and he really captured, I think, something of the moment that we're in. And I know it's desperately sad, but we're in sad times as well, and you can't sort of paper over that. And I hope, listen, I just hope, I'm appreciative of your support. I'm appreciative of all the support that's out there, but I'm really appreciative of the generosity of people, and I just hope that we can, raise some funds, raise some awareness, and hopefully it will do some good.
Now, the last time we talked to you on the TV show, you just done a record with Phil Coulter. That must have been great.
Yeah, it travelled really well, particularly in the States. It was really, really well picked up in the States, that song. Obviously, Phil has a huge following out there, and Phil is a dear friend, and he's really supportive of this release as well. No, that was the Kindred Spirits album. The next album that I'm recording is a lot more of my own stuff, and I have once again, I'm like one of these one of Ireland's yo-yos. I move in through and out through the genres, so I'm back into my more folky roots, and I've written a few pieces that I think people will like. And well, who knows? We'll let them out and see how they go. But it's an interesting time, and certainly a time when people can spend their time in spaces like this, being creative. You see all the kids drawing their paintings of the NHS and the rainbows. My two nieces down the road have a massive, huge rainbow on their window, and it spans, like, I don't know, it must be about 6 foot. So it's an interesting time. There's lots of positivity around amidst all of the sadness.
Malachi, great talking to you as always. Continued success with the new single, And Nothing Seems Right. And stay safe.
Likewise, thank you very much. And in regards to the team, who are all working hard on the online offerings.
And we'll have some more music from Malachi now, one from the archives from the last time he was in the studio. And this is a track that we mentioned earlier on. This is called Kindred Spirits.
Light is fading as I gently kneel and say an Ave for my mother as her spirit slips away to join my Father and to share eternity. We called them kindred spirits, now they will forever be. So now they're reunited, smiling down from up above, as fondly we remember they filled with love. How even through the hard times they were close as close could be, just like the kindred spirits they will forever be. Their love was as deep as the ocean, flying higher than eagles would dare, as strong as the mountains in Donegal, and as soft as a morning in Clare. I can see her in the kitchen, I can smell the baking bread, I can hear my Father singing as he tucked us into bed. They shared the load together, they were proud as proud could be. And now those kindred spirits will share eternity. They shared the load together, as proud could be. They were always kindred spirits, and now they will forever be. For now those kindred spirits will share eternity.
And that was Malachi Cush with Kindred Spirits. Let's talk movies.
And something that's just been released on DVD and is also streaming on the digital platforms right now is a new movie called Just Mercy, starring Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx and Brie Larson. And Just Mercy tells the story of a world-renowned civil rights defence attorney, Brian Stevenson, who works very hard to free a wrongly condemned death row prisoner. Here's a clip.
Walter McMillan is to face death by electrocution.
It's my dad, sir.
John,
Sit down, young man.
I want you to sit down now.
He ain't do nothing wrong.
Sit down.
Not if you gonna kill my dad for no reason. You killing my family, sir, you!
I know you didn't kill Rhonda Morrison. And what they did to you was completely illegal. Your life is still meaningful, and I'm gonna do everything possible to keep them from taking it.
And Just Mercy is streaming on digital platforms right now and is also out on DVD. Now, have you been learning any new skills during lockdown? Lots of people have been doing some gardening, including yourself.
Yes, I decided I'd take a wee hand at doing some veggie patching. It's something I've always wanted to do, Robin. You've heard me talk about it for probably the last 2 years. And I just thought, this is the opportunity. Wouldn't it be lovely for me when we're cooking dinner to nip out to the garden and lift an onion or a carrot or a lettuce if we wanted to. So yeah, I decided I'd give it a go, and I watched a few tutorials, and I hope I've done all right. Let's see when we see it in a few weeks, because seemingly it only takes a few weeks to grow something.
All right, well, you've got your veggie patch, and here's Pauline in the garden.
So over the last few weeks I've been trying my hand at some cooking, and it's been working out pretty okay. Well, I haven't burnt anything anyway. So today I'm going to do some gardening, because I've been watching the legendary Monty Don do a little veggie patch, which I have been dying to do. So last year and this year I've been collecting little vegetables between carrots, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, all different kinds of things, including parsley and some of those herb ingredients. Because of course gardening is really, for me anyway, all about eating. So Monty said that to make your own little veggie patch, you literally just need a small little area, whether it's in your patio, on a balcony, or if you're lucky and have a nice garden. Now, I had this patch already done, but he's explained it to me, so I'm going to explain to you what he said. So you start off with some little wooden slats. It could be a piece of wood in 4 pieces, drill them together. The most important thing is it doesn't even matter. You can actually set this up on grass, because the grass will not grow up through if you have put the right soil down. So what you want is a raised bed. So what that means is you start off with your compost. So you start off with compost on the bottom, then you put a little bit of topsoil on top, and then on top of that again you would put some more topsoil. Now of course in the middle of that process you're going to put your seeds. So I'm really excited to show you some of the produce in seeds that I have been buying these last couple of days. I've got rhubarb and courgettes. I've also got this great spicy salsa mix, which has got seeds of everything from tomatoes, onions, peppers, chilies, and even coriander and basil, which is absolutely fantastic. These little pots here and here are actually lettuce, spring onions, and I forget what the other one, that's more chili pepper. And interestingly enough, I got these little pots last year from Lidl for free when you were in your shopping, and this year Marks and Spencer's have done some. So it's I'm excited to try these. So there you go, that is me ready. My produce is laid, and as Monty Don says, they should be ready and growing in a few weeks' time.
So we'll check back in a couple of weeks and see if anything has started to grow.
Well, let's hope so. Now, we haven't checked in with Arnold Schwarzenegger recently?
No, we haven't. Well, what's he been up to on social media? Well, on his Facebook page, he's been telling us how flexible he still is.
Flexibility is just as important as weight training itself. So here we go. Suck it in, up with your arms, and then bend slowly to the side. Very nice. And then the other side. Anyway, I feel very flexible today. I'm really proud of myself.
There we go, another great clip from Arnie on his Facebook page. So that's all we have time for on the big show this evening. Big thank you to our special guest, Malachi Cush, and the brand new charity record, Nothing Seems Right, is out now, raising money for Northern Ireland Air Ambulance and also the NHS. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.